Welcome to the Forever in Their Hearts podcast with Dale Martin Jr., brought to you by Martin Brothers, providing funerals designed and customized to be as special as your loved one lost. Now, here's your host.
Well, yes, this is your host, Erik Reynolds, and I'm here again with Valerie Martell, Director of Operations for Martin Brothers Funeral Services. And today, Valerie will talk about how to help aging parents when it seems all their friends are dying. Now, before Valerie joins us, just as a reminder, if you have questions or require assistance, you can reach Martin Brothers Funeral Services in Vancouver at 778-330-7799. Again, that's 778-330-7799. Now, Valerie, as always, it's great to be talking with you again today.
Yeah, nice to talk to you, Erik.
Well, Valerie, today, and this is a very important topic. As our parents age, they will inevitably be faced with the reality that their close friends are dying, and they not only have to grieve the loss of their friends, but also face their own mortality. So let me ask you this question, and maybe you've been asked this many times. All my parents' friends seem to be dying, and they are continually attending funerals. Now, my question is that okay?
You know, Erik, it is okay. I mean, as people who are not in that age group, myself and yourself included, that's not really in our realm. We don't attend funerals every day. We attend them occasionally. And as we age, it seems, our peers are dying. And so, yeah, you do attend a lot of funerals. But just like when, we were a little bit younger, or at least when I was a little bit younger, my peers were all getting married. So what was I attending? I was attending weddings all the time. Pretty normal that, when your peers start to die, you attend their funerals. And again, funerals are a social thing. I know it's kind of odd to think about, but, funerals are really important as a social gathering of the people who were important to that person's life. So when your parents have friends that are dying, it's important that they're there, and it's quite all right. And, for us, looking in on that, we might think, oh, brother, they were talking again about a funeral that they attended. Is that all they ever do? But in reality, you know what? They are part of that social connection, and it's important for them to be there for some resolution, to be there to support families, to be there to support, the spouse of the deceased, a lady that, or a couple that your parents have been friends with for all their life, and then the husband dies. It's really important that they go and they support the wife, and they say, we're still here, we are still friends, and we understand you don't have your spouse anymore, but just know we're here for you. So, yeah, it's okay. It's a little out of our realm. It's a little, something that we don't want to think about, but in reality, it's quite fine.
Now, Valerie, I have a question, and I don't mean for it to sound insensitive, but, it's natural for older people to die. So why do my parents seem so upset when they hear of their peers dying?
Well, like anyone else, it is natural for older people to die. That's the truth. But there's still a loss factor in that. They're still losing out. Their world is changing. Somebody who has been present in their life is no longer part of it, and all they've got then is the memories, which, that's great that they've got the memories, but on the other hand, there's still a loss element. The other part of it, too, is that your parents, if they are getting older, they know that they're getting closer to death themselves. And every time they see a peer die, every time somebody from their social network is dying, it almost feels like they're getting a little step closer. And it's pretty natural that people don't want to think about that. They don't want to realize that they are mortal, that they are going to die themselves, and that it is getting closer. When you think about, your parents could be in their 70s or in their 80s or whatever, and their life has been a long and wonderful life, but what they've got left of life is not going to be terribly long, probably. And so it's coming to that realization, and even the realization that, they might worry that their spouse will be alone when they see the widow or widower of the deceased at these funerals. They see the grief that they're going through, and so anticipating that can be a little bit scary, can be a little bit worrisome. A husband might worry about leaving his wife behind, or vice versa. and that's really normal. But yeah, they'll be upset because it is a loss, just like it's a loss at any point in time.
Now, what should I do if I notice that my parents seem to be grieving for a long time? Is there anything I can do to help them?
Well, certainly one of the things you can do to help your parents is to be present for them. We're not always around our parents every day, whether we live in a different city or we just are busy and we're not with them every day. You drop them a line, give them a call, send them a card, send flowers even. It might just be that they've lost a friend who's, just simply an acquaintance, but they might need to hear from you. Just say, I'm still here. Let me know if you need anything. I'm thinking of you. It's important that they know that they still have that support from their family and that their family's around them. If you notice that they have been grieving for a considerable amount of time, you could suggest that they talk to somebody else about it. They may wish to talk to you. They may say, I'm really kind of sad because I lost Mary, who's been my friend for, some 60-odd years or whatever, and they may just want to talk about it. They may want to look over old pictures. They may want to, just have a conversation. But if it goes beyond that, if you feel that they're really having a really tough time, you might suggest that they talk to somebody else. They could talk to their doctor. They could, certainly as a funeral home, we always have resources available. We have people who can assist. We have a grief recovery program that we run through our funeral home, and it's quite fine to give us a call and say, when's your next grief recovery program starting? I've got some people that I know, whether or not that their loved one came through our funeral home or not, or that's okay. Ours is open to everybody, and it's quite fine for people to connect with us. And what that program is all about is just simply people getting together to learn that grief is normal. There's a context to the program, and it's a very good program. And it's okay for people to come and find out about it and realize it's for them. And you can suggest that to your parents that these resources are available. But it starts with being available to them.
Now, Valerie, my aging parents talk about attending their friends' funerals, and they critique the service, they critique the song choices, the reception, and everything else about the funerals. Now, should I start talking to them about planning their own funerals? And if I do, how do I go about this?
That's really common. I'm kind of in that boat where my mom will go to funerals and she'll say, I didn't like the casket, or the card was kind of funny. It had a weird picture on the front, or, do you know the reception? They had such and such. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, Mother, good idea to plan your own then.
Yeah.
So that, because we all have these ideas of what we envision for our own things. So whether it's our own party or our own wedding or our own funeral, we have a vision in mind of how that should look and what should be involved in it. Right down to what songs there's going to be sung or played or whatever. So yeah, that's actually the greatest opportunity to start talking to your parents about pre-planning their own funerals. At that time where they're saying, Mabel's service was lovely, but I went to Frank's service last week and it was not so great. You know what? That's a door opening for you that you can say, Mom, you seem to have some pretty strong opinions about what looks right at a service, or what you would like. Why don't we talk about that? Maybe you've got some ideas of what you would like for your service, and that's the time when the doors open and you can certainly start talking about that. And to be truthful, once you start talking about that, it might be a relief to your parents. They might say, we were thinking about this, but we never did bring it up. So let's talk about it now. That's okay. And what you can do then is give us a call, and you can come in and look at what options are available. We can sit down with your parents or with you and get things that you can bring to your parents if that's not feasible to bring them in. But, it's good for them to come in too and say, I was thinking I would, wanted this kind of a casket, or I'm interested in this or that, or, I have the idea of what songs I want at my service, or what color flowers, or some people will say, make sure I look a certain way, or I want to be wearing this certain color, so make sure my family brings that in. We have a great system of recording all of this information. It starts with a very simple click to our website, if that's something. I mean, you can sit down with your parents, or even get your kids to sit down with your parents and start them on our form online. It's a simple form. It just starts getting your wishes down. And beyond that comes straight to me, and I take a look at it. I actually transcribe everything you've put on there, and then I send it out to you and say, here's what you sent me. Does this look like what we're looking at? And you keep that for your records. You get a nice little handy wallet card to say, I have pre-planned my arrangements at Martin Brothers, and should something happen, you give them a call because they know what I want. And, then it can go beyond that, where your parents can actually sit down with us and actually pre-arrange their service. They can prepay if they wish to, lock in their costs at today's prices, and then they can have things exactly the way that they were envisioning it. And it's important sometimes that we have input into our own services because of that very thing. We may have seen things in the past that we say, I don't want this or I don't want that. Well, you know what? That's a good time to say what you do want then. And so, by all means, that's a wonderful time to get in and start talking about planning their funerals. And it doesn't have to be a complicated thing. It can start with our website, and it can go beyond that if you wish. But, it's available to people. And we keep those arrangements for as long as it takes. We keep arrangements for years and years. And anytime a family comes to us and says, I said I wanted red roses at my funeral, but in fact I want white ones. You know what? It's really simple for us to change that. We change that around, and those wishes are always kept on record. We have this wonderful thing where we can add notes, and we can add more notes, and sometimes we do that, and it's quite fine. And each time a family says, I changed my mind, I want this, we can change things around, and then we stamp it with a time and date, and we, this was your last, and so we always know, what was your last wish? Oh, here it is. And we get that right together, and it makes it very simple for families once someone has passed.
Well, Valerie, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, I do, Eric. Just always know that grieving is natural no matter what age you are or who you've lost in your life, whether it's somebody who's passed due to age or if it's somebody who's taken, too early for their time. Grieving is normal, and what's really important is to be present for the grieving person. And funerals are a social gathering. That's really important to know, that it's not odd for people to be going to funerals. It's important. And that planning your funeral ahead of time can save a lot of grief. It can save a lot of wondering and things like that. And so if your parents wish to plan their funeral ahead of time, it's okay. Talk to us at any point in time, and we can help you. We can walk you through those steps to do such a thing.
Well, Valerie, thanks for sharing your experience and knowledge, because I think this can really help families to support their aging parents as they go through different transitions. Now, for our listeners, can you think of someone who might benefit from what we've covered here today? They will thank you if you forward this episode to them. And if you have questions or require assistance, you can reach Martin Brothers Funeral Services in Vancouver at 778-330-7799. Again, that's 778-330-7799. Or you can visit the website that Valerie was talking about earlier, and that is www.mbfunerals.com. Again, that's www.mbfunerals.com. Well, Valerie, as always, thanks so much for the call today.
Thanks, Eric.
You've been listening to the Forever in Their Hearts podcast with Dale Martin Jr. from Martin Brothers Funeral Services. Our 4 generations of service in the funeral profession have equipped us with a legacy of understanding. In your hour of need, Martin Brothers is there. Call Martin Brothers in Vancouver today at 778-330-7799 and visit them online at www.mbfunerals.com.